Guys, look, we have a roof. Why are you so mean?
It's in my nature.
Yeah,
It's not natural.
you're a Leo. Hey, did you know that there's not a single word in the English language that rhymes with orange? No, I didn't know that, actually. That sounds like a pretty nasty cough you've got there, though. Want a lozenge? Coming up on the last week of term, so just before the holidays, and I've got a lot of homework to do, so this is going to be a bit strange. I'm just going to record whatever comes into my mind over the next couple of days and hope I can string it together to make a video. So here we go, doing the walk. I haven't passed out yet, that's a good sign. And here we are at the park where I spent a large portion of my childhood. I used to slide down all of these hills on sheets of cardboard. That was fun. I want to do that again. Why do I have to grow up? I did it! I didn't pass out! Just around most of the last kilometre because some of my friends were doing it and I didn't want to lose. Found the mascot for the local soccer team. I kind of want to fight him. It'll make a hell of a story. So I got home, it's all good. I managed to go the rest of the day without passing out and I didn't punch any mascots, which is excellent. I did sneak up behind a big red button and poke it just to see if it would react, but I mean, come on, in that situation, who wouldn't? I was watching a movie with my family on Saturday evening. For the life of me, I can no longer remember its name. It was like a growing up, coming of age type story, and there was this one scene, which was basically all we got to watch, where like a 13-year-old girl and a 13-year-old boy are kind of on a date. They go out, get ice cream, they play some basketball, girl kicks the guy's ass. Then they're sitting on a bench and the boy is kind of hard to tell to me. It looked like pressuring the girl to make out with him and all that, and it was kind of, well, not kind of, it was really awkward and everything. And then, of course, because they're 13-year-olds in a coming-of-age movie, they make out, and it's awkward. And then afterwards, it's awkward. And then the girl turns up to the guy and says, "If you tell anybody about this, I will beat the shit out of you." Anyway, because I was watching it with the whole family, including the 10-year-olds, who are now 10, by the way, they had their birthday recently. Happy birthday! Everyone gets their birthday before I do. First thing my dad does, reach for the remote, put the thing on mute, and then starts a couple of minutes of debate with my mum over whether or not it's appropriate to leave the film on, because my mum had said, like, 10 seconds earlier that it was appropriate. Eventually, my dad did actually turn it back on, and then the first thing that they do is like a game of truth and dare with two of the girls who are talking about how best they can tell their parents are assholes. Off goes the TV. And it started this big debate between my parents and my sister and everyone about what constitutes a swear word versus a curse word, because they were cursing a little bit the second time, but it wasn't the S word or the F word or any of the other big, well, actually, apparently there's only one other big one, the forbidden word. None of it mattered very much because they're 10, they're not allowed to use those words, and as it so happens I agree with that because that's inappropriate at their age. But then I remembered what my approach had been to using language like that when I was younger, and I thought that might actually be a story worth sharing. See, I was a very, very polite kid. Like, I tried to be nice to, well, I didn't try to be nice to everyone, but I tried to use the right language at all times. I didn't swear, I didn't say rude things. Maybe occasionally I was a little bit too blunt. That's part of the Aspie thing, but I didn't swear or anything because I was a little kid and little kids don't swear, that's not appropriate. And then I got to year 6. And I know what you're thinking. I'm 12, Mum, I can do what I want. Yes, even I went through that phase, although it was, like, not against my mum or anything. I just decided around about the halfway between my 11th and 12th birthdays that now I was old enough to use some bad words. I remember actually consciously making the decision that I was now old enough to use the words damn and bloody, because at age 11 there was a great deal of call for me to use those words in day-to-day life. Now I know that sounds kind of ridiculous of me, really naive, but the truth is it's impressive I held off that long. I mean, I'd been going around in the car with my mum for years at that point, and you only want to listen to her when she's driving. And it stayed more or less that way actually until year 11. So the next time I took a step up, arguably a step down, in terms of the language I used, was when I was 17. Now, obviously, I can't keep track or anything of how often I swear, but before I turned 17, I could count them on one hand. I can't remember what they were anymore, but I was something like 3, maybe 4 times in my entire life I'd sworn, and all of them have been times when someone tricked me into swearing. You know, what's the opposite of near? What's the opposite of queen? What's the opposite of heaven? The story of that change when I was 17 is not as amusing as the change when I was 11, because I decided to start using those words to convey how angry I was at something. The only reason I really started using them at all was because I was already known as a guy who didn't use them, so I figured, well, if I start using these, then people will know that I'm really angry. Funnily enough, generally the first impression that, you know, proper adults, as in not 19-year-olds, get of me is that I'm a really polite person. It may seem kind of ridiculous that I had those standards about what I was and wasn't allowed to say until I was 17, but you know, it worked. For all that responsibility, I never got that much mature while I grew up. Like I said, at the charity walk yesterday, I ran most of the last kilometre, not for any particular reason of self-challenging, just because a bunch of my friends who had been challenging themselves and trying to get fit started running the last kilometre. And I didn't want to lose. Some of those friends have said next year that they want to enter the 6-kilometre run for this charity, so now I'm feeling torn because, once again, I don't want to get shown up. The vocabulary of a grown man and the competitive spirit of a 5-year-old. Yeah, I'm qualified to be an adult. Now that's enough chit-chat, I've got homework to do. Today's conversation starter. What are the qualities... Wait, that's not going to work. What are the qualities you look for in friends? Not really sure about how to answer this one. I mean, I don't think that many of my friends watch these videos, so I'm kinda safe in that regard, hopefully. Okay, so yeah, I'm looking a little different. It's been a couple of days since I filmed the rest of that video because I had an assignment I needed to work on. But after having thought it through, I would say the two things that are most important to me when I'm looking for a friend are loyalty, and I know that makes me sound like a Skyrim NPC. Steel's good, but loyalty's better. And compassion. I don't mean like bleeding heart, feels bad for everything sort of compassion, just tries to understand other people as well. Because that's often something I struggle with, but it's also something I think is very important, and at the end of the day, I want my friends to think that's important as well. Once again, this was a bit more serious than I intended it to be, but that's the risk you run when you do random stuff like this. At least I can tell you it's 100% honest. That's pretty much it for this week, guys, so if you did like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you want to see more of my stuff and what I come out with next. Go to my channel and check out my other videos, and I will see you guys soon. Bye! Just walked out and found this. That is so not what a letterbox is for.